Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Misiura. Today we're going to tie a pretty easy nymph, and this is going to be a generic nymph. A few things that we're going to need, our materials list would be a pheasant tail center. This is a natural. You could actually make these with dyed ones. Here's this was actually dyed yellow. You can see it's kind of a has kind of a olive sheen to it there. And one thing with pheasant tails, the undersides are always darker. You can see here the underside is a whole different color. But you could get them in different colors. You get, that was yellow, you could get olive, black, orange, red, just about any kind that you want. And here is another pheasant. This is not a ringneck pheasant tail. This is an Amherst pheasant tail. So I was told when I got these that these were Amherst pheasant tails. So, and this is real nice because you get that different camouflage or different moltings on there, and they make nice ones too. But the ringneck pheasant is the most popular, and that's what you'll get when you buy the pheasant tail centers. So we need that pheasant tail, and then we're going to need some dubbing, and this is the Awesome Possum dubbing assortment. You can see it's got several different colors in there, and I got this from Coots Fly Shop. Real nice guy. Another thing that we're going to need is some fine gold or copper wire. You can use you could use black wire if you want, but you want fine, maybe even extra fine. Of course, we're going to need the thread, and I'm going to use black 8/0 thread on this fly. And our hook is this is a Lively Legs lip splitter number 473, size 12, and this is 2 extra long. And I have a 3mm gold bead on there. You can use tungsten beads, you can use regular beads. Tungsten sinks faster. If you want a little extra weight, I would take, on this particular one, I would put some maybe 10 thousandths lead free or lead wire on there. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I come up with this one for the purpose of just playing around one day, and it's a very good fly too. To match when you're fishing, you turn over rocks and you see the nymphs on there, and pick those nymphs off and turn them over, and their bellies are different colors than their top. The tops are usually a lot darker than the bellies, and the bellies could range in color from a cream color to a very dirty yellow color. So keeping that two-tone color is the big reason why I designed this. Now we have our thread back just inside the point of the hook, almost at the barb. Now I'm going to take some the pheasant tail center, and this is a new one, so I'm all the way down the bottom here. And pheasant tails, the feathers, they seem to be shorter at the bottom, and then they grow to be a decent size, a bigger size up top. But we're not going to be wrapping this, so those shorter ones are going to be perfect. I'm going to take about right here, that's maybe about 3/8 of an inch. What you want to do is kind of stand them up just like with the hackle barbels, and this is actually the barbels on the pheasant tail. We're going to kind of try to even them out and then pull them, but you got to grip pretty tight because they're pretty tough on there. And the reason you want to grip pretty tight is to keep the tips aligned. And we're going to take that and we're going to use those tips for the tail. And we'll make that about 1/2 the length of the hook shank. Just going to go ahead and give it a couple of loose loop, pull it straight down. Pull it straight down. I can see I got a couple of broken ones there. But these are hunted pheasants. These are Dakota pheasant. My cousin went pheasant hunting and gave me a whole big bag of pheasant tails. And we're going to fold this back. We're going to go on top of it just slightly, just enough to keep that holding back. Now we're going to take our rib and we're going to tie that in. It's going to tie that in, and I'm going to leave that tag end longer so that I don't have a big lump. And most of the wire that I get, I don't buy a lot of wire. What you want to do is just you take apart old motors and they'll have wire in it. Clocks are a big one. They have some nice extra fine wire in clocks. So we're going to go ahead and bring this thread back to that tail section. I'm going to turn my fly upside down so I can dub. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to use that awesome possum. I'm going to go more with a golden stone color. Kind of gives you that dirty yellow color. Like I said, you could go anywhere from pure white to cream to this golden stone or golden yellow. And we're going to take that little bit of moisture, always helps. Make a nice skinny-ish noodle. Remember, you can always add more. And I'm going to finish off what I pulled out of the container. Then we're going to see how far this goes. Make sure you got it back there nicely, right to the edge. And then we can wind this forward. You could actually taper this. I'm going to add some more. And we're just going to stop here around the thorax area. Now we're going to take that pheasant tail center. Got a couple more broken ones there. Pull them out. We're going to lay that flat over the top. And when you lay it flat, you want to cover a good amount of it. You know, you want to cover that whole top with that. So you just lay that flat. You could actually even start it a little bit towards you and then lay that flat, and then when you wrapping tends to pull the material away from you. So we'll give that a few wraps there. Now we can take our rib and we can wrap this, and I'm going to counter wrap. Like I said in a previous video, I like to counter wrap ribs. And when I need the counter wrapping, I will automatically do it instead of forgetting and wrapping it the wrong way. Bring that right up there and tie that in. We could go ahead and trim that off. Trim the the tail or the pheasant tail material off, and then helicopter the wire off. You don't want to use, especially you don't want to use good scissors to take the wire off. That's not helicoptering very well, so take a pair of nail clippers, and you do no damage whatsoever to the nail clippers, but you will ruin a good pair of scissors. And now we're going to put our bead at the, or put our thread at the bead. Got one wild one there. And we're going to take twice as much of the pheasant tail this time. So I'm going to take about 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to pull that off. And we got about 3/4 of an inch all piled up right here. Make sure you kind of keep them tips. Try to keep them tips aligned. And now you want to figure out, this is going to be the legs. We're going to tie these off in front, but we also want to figure out how far back we want them to go as per the amount of leg we're going to leave hanging off the front. I'm going to just tie this in, take a loose loop, and then pull it straight down. You can see them dividing already. And like I said, the material tends to get pulled over with the thread. Now I'm going to go ahead and secure this right back to the abdomen. Actually going to come back on that abdomen just a little bit. There we go. So we can get that thorax pretty good size there. Now I'm going to just put my turn my hook 1/4 turn, because then the legs would get in the way. So I'm going to dub from here. I'm going to take more of that same colored dubbing, and this noodle we're going to make, or this noodle we're going to make the same size, but the thorax we're going to make a little bigger. And sometimes with these containers you have to actually take your easy clip and get that material started out the hole. You can make this noodle a little bit heavier, but it's always better to add. It's always better to go over than to put too much on. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this. I'm looking at the bottom to make sure that I have a clean transaction from the abdomen to the thorax. Like I said, that was a pretty good size noodle right there. And you can see it didn't go very far. But now when I'm at this point, I got about half the thorax tied there. I'm going to take the legs and I'm going to divide them. I'm going to tie them down on the sides. Just give it a couple of wraps, and you should have the legs on the sides like this. And those short ones we can just trim off. Now I'm going to finish dubbing this, and I have to use my hackle pliers again to get that dubbing out. There we go. I think I got a pretty good amount, pretty good piece coming out there now. So we're going to dub this again. You can see my dubbing noodle is a little bit heavier this time. So we're going to wrap this, and when you go for the second half of the thorax. Just make sure that you don't pull the legs with it. I'm going to put just another little pinch on there. I want to fill in that by that head there just a little bit more, because when we fold over our wing case, we're going to squash. Now we're going to take our wing case and fold that over, and we're going to make this, we're going to hold that nice and flat so it's wide. You got a nice wide wing case there. Put a couple of nice on there. If you have to, you can kind of use your thumbnail to widen out that wing case. Put maybe 3 wraps, and then you can put a couple of wraps in front. Then I'm going to remove this. And I'm going to put just a very little bit on my, little bit more dubbing on my thread there. And this whole purpose is I want to just hide the thread. Because we can see, got a little bit of thread showing there. Just a very small amount. Then I'm going to take my whip finish. Whip finish. Put the hook over it. Take the thread around the camel hump. Flip the whip finish up, and you have an X. Slide that X to the hook shank. And I'm kind of rolling it off the back of the bead so that it goes down underneath the bead. Take the camel hump out. Slide that up. You can tug that in there. Take your poke and snip cuticle trimmer and trim that off. Put a little bit of head cement on there. And you can get the head cement right on that wing case too. You don't have to put a lot, but it'll help preserve it a little bit if the teeth of the trout grab a hold of it. And here we have my generic nymph in a golden stone color. Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors. Let them know I sent you. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. If you'd like to purchase this or any flies that I make, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And if you don't see it there, send me a message on Etsy and we'll figure it out what you want. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.